So you're going to hear a super interesting story about how my friend Kyle, who's a youth pastor, married in his late 20s, and he has a daughter that's 2, but he was drowning in $200,000 in debt, making $9.50 an hour. That's where he started. And you can only imagine how he must have felt and the feeling that he was fighting a battle he could not win. So he's been through a lot, and you're going to discover the decisions that he made to become debt-free, to design a life that he loves, and his perspective on if being debt-free has made him a better Christian. So let's dive in. Before you became debt-free, kind of give us an idea what your lifestyle looked like before even like debt-free was a thing for you.
So when I first got married, me and my wife were both going to school, college. And so I was working as a CNA. She was working as a admin at a college. And so I was making like $9.50 an hour.
That's hard work.
Yeah. It was
for $9.50.
It was really hard work. And so we were going to school full time. She was going full time. So I mean, she had a better job than I did. She was making around like $30,000. So when we first got married, we weren't making like a bunch of money. I had like at the time $30,000 in school that she had, I think like 50, and then she went on for her master's degree. So you can imagine like how much debt we had.
Holy smokes. What about cars?
So at the time we had one car. We had one paid off car, and then we had her car. So that was a brand new car. We bought a Chrysler 200 because she had a Prius that she was upside down with. So we like leased another car to flip it, right? But we both know that was a bad thing. So
how much was that? How much?
Oh, we were $20,000 upside down that. Yeah.
What about credit cards or anything else?
We never had credit cards. At that time, we still paid off our credit cards. We used them at each month. We just paid them off.
Okay.
So
is there any other debt that you had at that time?
Then our mortgage. So we had a mortgage. So we just moved in a house around that time. So our mortgage was like $115 at the time. So we had about $70,000 in student loan debt, then $20,000 in a car, and then $115,000.
So you're looking over $200,000.
First getting married, and then me looking at this debt, making $950.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So I can imagine. It's like, what was your?
I mean, the pressure was there, right? So I was like working full time just to make good money, because making $950, you had to work full time, like crazy hours to make any kind of money, and then going to school full time. So that's one thing my biggest regret in marriage was like working that many hours and going to school that many hours, and then just to pay the bills, right? So it's like the only time we would see each other is when we lay our heads down at bed.
So when did you realize that you were in more debt that you can handle?
I think when I realized is when I got a better paying job, right? So after I graduated college, I got hired by a nursing home as a HR director, making a good salary. Like they signed me on for like $50,000. And I realized with all this debt I had, I wasn't making an impact. Even with a higher income, it felt like I'd pay off this. No, I'd make payments to this, like my wife's school debt. And then it wouldn't go anywhere. We would be just making the minimal payments, and that $50,000 would just stay there. And I'm like, it's going to be impossible. I felt like it was impossible, even with a bigger salary. And my wife got a raise, and it was like we weren't making impact on it. We were just making the minimum payments, which is like scary.
How did your wife feel about that?
She was scared. Like we weren't like scared, but we were just like we didn't understand. Like they're like, hey, we have to pay this off, but we don't know how. Like we got a better job, but it's not helping. So like that made us both nervous, but that's what everybody does. We're kind of in this mindset that this is normal.
And so I guess where did you go to find resources, or what were you looking for answers?
I didn't really know where to go, right? Back then I didn't listen to Dave Ramsey. My family, this was just kind of, they never had this much school loan debt. So I was like really didn't have anywhere to go. And at the time I didn't have friends, like a friend like you in my life that had this debt-free vision, right? Or this idea. So I was just trying to go with what I knew best, just hustle, like make more money and pay off stuff.
So while you were in debt, was there something that you wanted to accomplish, or that you saw that you wanted for your family?
See, at that time, I don't think so. I really feel like my why now, but like at that time, I didn't feel like we had a why. Like I had this idea of, getting a 6-figure job. And like, that was like my big thing. Like I knew an HR director, I could move up real fast as being young, and I'll have 6 figures and money problems will never be an issue. That was kind of like the ideal thing, but I didn't have a why, what I wanted to do with my family, what that looked like, and now I do, kind of thing. And we're clear direction now.
Yeah. I guess when did it? I know you went through a health crisis. Can you share a little bit about that, and also how that impacted, I guess, your journey to figure out an answer or realize that things needed to change for you and your wife?
Yeah, I think that is the biggest thing that really made me, because when I first had a heart attack, like many years ago.
How old were you?
I was 22 when that
22
happened.
years old. Wow. Hard.
So I was still in debt, still had mortgage, still had school loan. And so it scared me. Like we had some savings and, and we had insurance, which was good, but I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I racked up $500,000 in insurance claims, right? I didn't have to pay that, but I had good insurance. But it scared me because the next thing I had to do is take 6 months off of work and laid up. And so that's when I was actually made the transition from HR director into, True Source marketing. And luckily I was able to work from the couch.
Yeah.
And my clients were cool with it. But that's when I realized I was like, I need to make a choice. Like I need to change this because one health issue can just mess. Like if I didn't have health insurance, I could be $500,000 in debt and on top of all my other debt. So that's really when me and my wife kind of like sat back and was like, hey, we don't want to like keep on doing this rat race, right? And we want to be better. We want to pay our debt off. And we're just getting sick because like I was paying off my debt. She was paying off her debt. We weren't making a difference. And we're like, we gotta figure this out. So we like started making a budget. And we're like, okay, we can make an extra $1,000 payment to her school loan and we can have that paid off in 5 years. Like that's kind of like our math. And we're like not doing anything, right? We weren't doing anything like Dave Ramsey, beans and rice and beans. Like, and we didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like we didn't want to live like that. So we're like, what's the next best thing? Like, and so that's when I sold my house or I had this idea because we bought our house and the market crashed. So we bought this repoed house, which was a great deal. And the fastest way for us was return on investment of selling this house, right? And then selling it and paying off our debt and starting over again.
Okay.
And so, I mean, you know where that lead me now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm with my parents.
But you're leaving your parents now. You're getting, you know what I mean? That was for a time period.
Yeah.
They let you stay to
Exactly.
get back on your feet.
And I don't mind that. Like, I know a lot of people are ashamed of that. I'm not really. Because, like, to me, I feel like you really need to do whatever you have to get out of debt. But that's my mindset, right? Yeah. That's like, I'll do something crazy. I'll sell a house to get, you know what I mean? That's something Dave Ramsey doesn't teach. Like, I'll sell my house because I want to get out of debt.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because it's like you were trying to look for the fastest way to get out of debt instead of trying to like kind of nickel and dime or maybe cut off coffee or cut off eating out or whatever. But you're just going to go like, you know what, let's just bite the bullet, get it out of our life and then start fresh. And so how did your wife feel like through this transition?
I always toyed with the idea of selling the house, but she loved the house. That was like, she loved the house. We had a great house, still a great house to this day. Like, we loved it. That was our sanctuary. So I always brought up this idea of selling it and she didn't like it. So after we like broke down the budget and how long it would take if we cut out, like making an extra $1,000 payments to her loan, like she's seen the sacrifice we would have to do. And I think that's when she's seen it. She's like, oh, okay. But if we sell the house, we're kind of next steps. And we knew that's not where we wanted to live. Like our forever home, it wasn't. So she was like, you know what, that's not my forever home. So let's just sell it. It doesn't fit in our vision. So right around that time, we started getting our why because we had our child then, right? Mm-hmm. So during that health crisis in that 6 months I took off of work, we also had a child. And so that really, when we had a child, I feel like we figured out our why. Because like she also went off of work too to take care of the kid. And my why or our why became she wanted to stay home with the child and raise him.
Yes.
Raise her. So I feel like that's my why. So whatever I have to do to make sure my wife stays home. And for us, it's the debt-free life.
And what other ways has this being debt-free impacted your life? So
I feel like this has helped me in ministry because it has created margin in my ministry that I can focus on it. So my schedule is more free and I don't have to be worrying about the debts I have to pay. Like if I want to take a Monday off after a stressful Sunday, I can do that. And I don't have to worry about like, oh man, this is going to set me back at work or my boss isn't going to be happy. Yeah. I have more flexibility. And this actually gives me less stress so I can focus on ministry more. I feel like that's myself.
Yes. And would you say that I guess becoming debt free has made you a better Christian or minister?
I believe so, because I mean, we all know the Bible has so much things to say about debt, right? In Proverbs, you can read it over and over again, but it allows me to focus and give my 100% focus on the things of church, right? I can focus on for me as a youth pastor, I can focus on the students more. I can if we want to take an event we have for youth, I can take that week off and I don't have to be stressed about, oh, I got to make the bills and like, I can't take it because I got to show up work. I'm able to invest more of my time because I have that margin.
I guess my key takeaway from that is you've opened up the door for you to really just kind of focus on what matters to you, which is ministry, right?
Yeah,
Your family and ministry, and those are the top two priorities. So being debt-free has allowed you to pursue those. Obviously, how do you make your income now?
So where my income comes from right now is multiple places. So for TrueSource Marketing, we're helping contractors get more leads through digital marketing. So I have an income stream from that. Then I also do like freelancing work for other companies, as in like helping them set up email marketing or designing promotional stuff or helping them with their social media or just consulting. And then I also help my family business and doing like controller stuff, helping budgeting and paying stuff, and also help with their marketing.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, where are you headed to? Where are you and your wife headed to in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I think in the next 5 years, I know I'm moving into a townhome, moving out of my parents' basement. So that's going to be in the next, this month. So definitely be out of our own. Where I want to be is I want to be investing more time in my church, more margin, you know what I mean? Because I'm becoming more financially free every month, right? Being a good steward of our money, we're able to give more time, right? And then I also, me, I love starting new companies. I like investing into new companies. I love what's happening in my own company. And it's just I want to get more time in those things and less stress. So it's like, I know we talked about this. We're not always stressed about getting a new client because we need more money. We get to be selective and pick the clients we want to work with and set those clients up for true success and not just looking for a quick buck, right?
It doesn't seem like you're trying to get rich.
No. I feel like that's, at least for me and my wife, are not. Our big why is ministry, my wife being able to focus on our daughter at home and not have to work, and then me having the flexibility to do what I love to do for work. And I don't want to worry about finances. And I feel like if I was in debt, I couldn't do those things I love.
Yeah. Some say that you could actually get into debt, maybe leverage debt to start living the life you want to sooner.
Yeah.
I guess, what is your viewpoint on that?
I think the best viewpoint for me in this is probably like, I was thinking about taking a business loan out, right? I wanted to invest a bunch of money in TrueSource Marketing, and I had a loan manager set out, and he gave me the interest rate, and I was like, okay, let's do it. But then I sat back and I thought about how long that would take me to pay that off and what it would give me. It wouldn't give me new clients. It would give me better gear, new camera, better computer. Okay. But I realized where I was going to make more of my money was investing more time in clients and building that relationship, then better equipment, more money in my business. I knew spending more time with my clients. So I can't buy that. Yeah. Right. And so I really feel like the debt-free life is I can focus on my clients more. I don't have to stress about making my car payment. I don't have to stress about making my house payment. I don't have to stress about paying somebody for loaning money. Like, I get to look at the work that really matters.
Exactly. So we've been friends, really, really kind of been growing our relationship for about 1.5 years now. Yeah. But we knew each other previously, but not as close as we do now. I guess, what is it like, having a friend, from your perspective, that kind of we align in the same values, right? Especially like with debt free. Yeah. So it's like, how has that, helped you? For me, it's helped me tremendously. Just, I can talk to and be open and not get any judgment, but also like, you completely understand me. So it's like, it's really the no judgment for me. Like, you understand me and you'll encourage me in this specific aspect where I can't necessarily talk with some of my family members or some of my other friends. Yeah. How has it affected you?
It's huge. I'll take you to a story that I was just riding in a car with to an event, and the people in the car that was with me all had this kind of mindset of the debt-free kind of investing for the future, living on less than you make kind of thing. And I realized sitting there in that car that it's conversations like we have with each other, those honest conversations that push us forward, right? So I know our relationship has strengthened my wanting to do more, like wanting to be better financially with steward and So I feel like me and your relationship has grown, and we bounce these ideas off each other, and it's a camaraderie, like, right? It's a community. And I think my biggest, why I didn't do this kind of lifestyle was I didn't have anybody that did this, right? So like, that's what helps me get through it, is people like you, people like my other friends, like my brothers on this journey too. And we get to talk about it. And that's what I feel like pushes us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That makes sense. Well, is there anything else that you would want to say to someone maybe that's listening right now it's kind of feels hopeless as far as like, I just have a lot of student debt. I feel like it's impossible to get out. I guess what was your last final words you would say to somebody that's kind of struggling right now with a lot of debt?
This might sound promotional-ish kind of thing, but I really like your guide. Like your guide you offer, because even if you,
I didn't expect that.
No, we didn't set this up, but we talked about this. Like my biggest issue was when I was in debt, I didn't know my why. So you could try your hardest to get out of debt, but I really feel like the people that will get out of debt will get back into debt because they don't know their why.
Yeah.
And I would go out to say this, like, figure out your why before you try to get out of debt, because it's pointless. If somebody doesn't know their why, they're going to get lost, or they're going to keep getting in debt. So I really feel like your guide helps people through that.
Kyle, everybody.
Let's go! What do you feel about that?
I loved it.
Do you want to do another one?